Okay, welcome, thank you. I will give you an introduction. Okay, so I thought if we are talking about video, we should use a video, and that exactly is the IPTC Business Meets Technology Day of 2011 in 21 seconds. And so it gives a little bit of experience, so you can make a video out of many parts, of clips, and then you have sound in it. And yeah, the big challenge is now you have to manage this. And so let's have a look what the starting point for IPTC was on that matter. So the starting point there about 2 years ago was video is an area of rich diversity. So you have there many formats of frame. You have many technologies for compressing video data and audio data. We have many defined structures of files containing video, so you can have different types of compressing video in the same video file format, but also in different file formats. So that's a very mixed issue. Then talking about metadata, there are also different metadata for metadata schemas for video. So in many cases, specific formats have their own specific type of metadata. And then we have different ways to embed metadata into video files. Okay, that means finally also that there are different ways to express rights and restrictions. So you have a big herd of different things. And so this resulted in a user experience like that one. That means the permanently used video desk is built on quite different legs. And people were not happy about that. They said, well, it works. I have a desk I can work on, but how this is built is quite different, and we have to take care about that. We have to follow, if we want to import and export things, that we follow the style of the legs. So is it curved, is it more baroque or simple? Okay, so what can be done to solve that? So the IPTC work aimed at first support of widely used fields and an easy use of metadata fields. So to make the hard disk a little bit more easy to use and more comfortable. And the second issue is to put the technical details of metadata management in the second row. So you don't have to think about what metadata can I use as I'm using this video format. So this should be sidelined to say, okay, there is some software which takes care for that, but primarily I could have a chance to have a consistent set of metadata. And these should be a set of widely used fields so that I can assume this is also shared with other partners in the video business. And so this finally makes now what IPTC calls the Video Metadata Hub. And hub because of that, because it has many legs on which it builds, but it has a common ground to work on that. Okay, what does it exactly mean? First, a collection of widely used metadata properties, and each one with a defined name, a definition of the semantics, so what content could and should be used with this field, then a basic data type to say this is a date, this is a string, this is a number, or maybe this is a substructure. Like for entities, we have usually now a name and an identifier, or even multiple identifiers if required, so that you can align to the semantic needs. and the cardinality, so that means how often it may occur. And the next step, the default technical implementations. We said, okay, you have many legs, but is there maybe 2 legs to say this is what we make sure that they will work with the IPTC metadata. And so we selected there 2 ways, a support of 2 ways of implementing technical metadata, and this is one first embedding metadata into the binary files of the video. And for that purpose, we have selected to use XMP, as it can be used across quite a lot of video file formats. And for saving metadata in standalone documents, we have selected there the EBU core, because EBU core is, I think, a very prominent standard for such standalone files made by the EBU and also adopted by other organizations. So we are not the only EBU core users. Is a very flexible one. And only as a reminder, there has been a discussion embedding or having such a kind of sidecar file. It depends simply on the workflow. So if you want to quickly exchange small clips, maybe it's better there to embed the metadata. But if you have large programs, maybe 2-hour programs from a broadcaster, you will have also a very large file for that, and it's much more efficient to exchange the standalone files with the metadata, and so that the receiver can instantly know what this is about and so on, without having to exchange multiple gigabytes. Okay, and there we said also if no other format standard should be used. So this is a kind of default technical implementation. So if somebody thinks we need our own format for that, they can do that. And secondly, the recommended mapping of the IPTC video metadata hub properties to semantically equivalent properties of other video metadata standards. So we said we don't consider to be an island. There are existing standards, but what we can do is we define how the IPTC hub properties can be mapped to the properties of a couple of existing standards. Okay, let's have a look a little bit into the design of the video metadata hub. So, as mentioned there, the basic design is to have at least a name, and behind that an identifier for each of the fields. So I show there a table. So this table has there in the left column the names, and in the right some values. So we have a video identifier, so this is only a small subset. Don't expect we only have 3 fields in the hub. So we have a video identifier, we have a title, and we have a description. So this is one of the movies we came across in our discussions and testing of the Blade Runner. So we can create there these 3 field values. Okay, next step is how to express this in a technical way. And so you see there in the center the 2 green arrows. That are the 2 preferred default technical ways. So you can embed it as XMP, or you can create a sidecar file following the EBU core standard. But by the mapping rules, so what is available, you can also map it to other formats. So on the left side there, so on the left side, you see the QuickTime format. And there you see, for instance, they don't have a clear identifier for that, but they have a title and they have a description. While on the other hand, we have the MPEG-7 metadata. So this one has an identifier, a grid, and also a title. So you can do their mapping as the target standard of the mapping provides corresponding fields. So I can show you then some examples. Some metadata existing standards have a rich and some have a quite lean set of metadata. Okay, but you can have as a second facet of the video metadata hub, you can take an action as a semantic hub. That means you can import metadata from an existing file. So the workflow is you receive clips, footage from different sources, and then your system has to ingest them, and that means also they have to normalize to some extent the metadata. And this can be done this way, so you have there a QuickTime snippet, you've got a clip, and then you read in a couple of metadata, put them into the video metadata hub properties, and then in the next step you say, okay, wonderful, I don't want to export them now in different formats from the QuickTime format. Then you do this simply, so there are defined mappings, if you call it also to XMP and to EBU core, so it's clear which properties of these two technical standards have to be used to express the fields above, and then also as available you can transfer this to the MPEG 7 standard. So this is the two key uses, so to have there a common ground, or to use it also as a kind of mapper between different clips. You can use it in both ways. So what mappings are currently defined? So the video metadata hub as the desk. So we have the EBU core and the XMP, so that are the specified default technical implementations. And currently we have a mapping to MPEG 7, to QuickTime, to schema.org, to NewsMLG2, and I'm happy that we have well discussed and supported mapping now also to BB Core. Welcome, Rebecca. And so I think this is a wide area of video business we cover by that. Thanks for all support in these mappings. Okay, so you see in the background that's the idea of the hub has been implemented this way. Okay, what are the hub benefits? To have a quick overview of that. So there are guidelines for organizing metadata of videos from different sources in a common way. So you can consider this as a set of metadata which are widely used, and therefore it's good to think about if metadata you're using fit into one of these fields there. Then it's a support of workflows with videos of different standards. As I've shown there in the semantic hub example, it helps you to ingest from different sources and then to have there a starting point for exporting also into different target formats. Support of switching from an old to a new standard. So this may happen that you say, okay, I'm using the video standard which is not really relevant anymore. I would like to switch to a more modern one. If you have the video metadata based on the hub, okay, no problem. You only need a new mapping engine and processor which implements or embeds this or creates sidecar files for that new standard, and then things are done. So you don't have to take care, oh, how can I get the old format and transfer it and then get it into the new format. A support of searching across videos of different standards. So think about, you have their search engine, you have their clips from Apple and MPEG 7 and other standards, and maybe also only such standalone files, and then you want to search across that and say, I need a video about that issue. Then it's now quite easy to look at that in the video hub, because this is a common format for all types of technical implementations. Okay, talking at the higher level now, let's dig into details. So look, what does the video metadata hub deliver? So what are the member fields? The first one is the set of describing audio and visual data. So what you can hear and what you can see. So you see we have the rich set, so describing the good old boys like title, headline, description, keywords. Then we're switching also to the more semantic technology oriented CV terms about the content, so that you have identifiers, and names in different languages for that. Okay, then also widely requested we have the dope sheet. So that's the list giving all in detail all the things which have been recorded in this video, and maybe if it's edited also where the different parts come from. And we have also a transcript, because some people would like to have their not only the audible words, but also the readable words. Okay, then data displayed on the screen, so you know if there are talking heads in the video, usually they have their name below their heads shown, and you can explicitly pin this down by that. You can have a language version, and of the video, I think primarily for things you distribute internationally. And then we have things which can be shown. So first the location shot, that means where in fact the camera was positioned when it started to take the video, and then what has been depicted then. So we have a location shown, event, person, and also person heard. So it could be the case that the person is only talking offline, but not visible. If we have a featured organization, and we also have object shown and product shown. So an object shown could be a building, and a product shown could be a drink. Okay, and then a more generic description like genre, shot type, and visual color, because it was I want to decide must be in color or could it be black and white too. So a very simple color of black and white, and I think for many editors that's completely sufficient to take this decision. Okay, but we have also added rights relevant data to that. So we have their creator, we have their contributors, and we can add their qualifiers to both, because we noticed that the different types of creators and contributors are also different in the different video areas. So if you create an artistic movie, you have a different set of people, type of people involved into that, than having their news story. Okay, so you have two basic fields which can be qualified by qualifiers. Then we have a supplier, licensor, rights owner, copyright owner, copyright year, because some people say we want to also to say this must be of that year. So also kind of selector. We have a credit line. I think that is for all who are a little bit familiar with photo metadata to quite common ground. And we have there also licensing terms. That means you can have there an explicit license statement, either in a free natural language, but you can also have it in the machine readable way. And you can do both. You can embed such license terms into the document, into the metadata document, or if you have a rich document about that, you can also post it somewhere else, and then you add a link to the video metadata hub. Say, okay, look at that. This is the link to the relevant licensing and rights terms. Okay, and then we have also some data which come also from the photo area. So we have a model release status. So did the person shown in this video, have they agreed to be shown? And also a document for that, the same for properties which may be protected. And then we have also a quite common or a quite open field source. That means somebody who took a specific action in the supply stream of this video and wants to be or has to be recorded. Okay, then we have there a set of administrative metadata. I think also quite common things like dates about created, modified, but we added there also a style period, so you can say there this has been created now, but it covers the style period of Baroque, for instance. Okay, then date released, then also having there for all kind of series of videos, primarily broadcasted series, so you have there a top level of series, then the different seasons of the series, and then the episodes of a season of a series. Then temporal coverage, what time period is covered by the content of this video. Then we have ratings. So I think that's quite common that all about video movies, you have the rating for parental guides. So in the different countries, so in the US you have them, and in Germany I know there is the FSK, for instance, which definitely says 6 years old, 12 years old, and older. Okay, then we have there a lot of identifiers. First, for the video identifier for the content as such, with the version, and then also for the video rendition. You say, I have there the content, but then I transfer this to the MPEG-4 format, or we do the Apple time format. So then you can have also identifiers for the different renditions. And then the registry entry. This is a kind of branding by IPTC, but that means an identifier from any registry or organization. And this was also something highly requested. They say, okay, we have our own identifier, but our video is also registered by others, and I want to include these registrations by others, and this should be included there. Okay, for that purpose we have the registry entry. Then we have feed identifier, storyline identifier, publication data, and also a link to external metadata. Okay, then we have a long set of technical metadata. I will not talk too much about that, so you can have an overview of that. But there we had some restrictions on adding there a lot. The main reason is they are very rich in the existing standards, and we don't compete with them. And they have sometimes specific ways. So a specific video format requires also some specific types of video metadata, and therefore we said, okay, that depends on the format. So we also tried there to pick the most commonly used fields, so which apply to as many as possible of the different video standards. Okay, and then something also we would like to clarify. For a video, you can apply, I guess, at least one to many sets of the video metadata hub properties. And that's the important facet. So as shown there, you can have there, expressed there by a single frame. So you have there one clip and another clip, and so you can create a set of video metadata hub properties for clip 1 and for clip 2. And then you can say, okay, then I also have a set for the video as a whole. So you can do this very fragmented, and you can even split up clips, for instance. So if you say you have there maybe transcripts for the first part and for the second part. So you only have to set time delimiters properly and say for the first 10 seconds of the long clip, this is the transcript, and for the next 10 seconds, another transcript, or something like that. That depends on the user, how they use it. But to clarify, the video metadata hub properties can be used multiple times, the set as such. And there is a clear, let's say each one is a specific container. So they are not mixed or something. You don't have then 5 creator properties, but you have 5 sets of metadata, and each one with a creator property. Okay, so that's the message. The whole and each fragment you need to indicate. A few words about the mapping. So IPTC specifies the semantic level of the properties. So it has a name, has a definition, a basic data type, and also the basic technical implementations. But then it says that are the corresponding properties in this standard. So this is something recommended, collaterally, bilaterally developed, so should be also under maintenance by both involved parties if possible. So we don't claim that we take action on other standards. We only say if you have the video metadata hub, then we propose to map to this property of that standard. So a quick overtime there, we have the QuickTime, we have MPEG-7, so this is an ISO specification. We have News LG2, which is an IPTC format for news exchange. We have the BB Core public broadcasting metadata schema, and we have also schema.org, which is used for adding metadata to something displayed on the web page. Video displayed on the web page. Okay. Then we heard also, well, dear IPTC, why are you creating something new? We have there already so many standards. Why do you add another standard there? So I think what we can say about it is the IPTC tries to look at the reality, and there we noticed that the existing standards only have a limited set of metadata. It's beyond the technical metadata. So they are very rich in those standards, but how you can describe the content of video is, for many of the more technical formats, quite at a low level. Then these metadata schemas are strictly bound to a specific technical format. So you can define, I want to have let's say, a creator in the movie Apple time, quick time format, but then it's not clear how to express this, for instance, in an MPEG-7 format. And those who don't like a specific technical format means no use to these metadata schemas. So if somebody says we don't want to use for some reasons a QuickTime, then they say we are also not able to use the metadata schema provided by that. And some organizations set a focus on registry metadata properties, less on specifying their semantic use. So we notice, for instance, there the keyword is MXF. So MXF is a big collection of metadata properties, but they are not very specific on how they should be finally implemented in a technical way. So it's good to have it registered there, but you don't know all steps of a workflow. That means not the final step, how to implement it finally. Okay, so that were the reasons why yesterday the IPTC members have approved the Metadata Hub specification, and this document includes there a sheet with the specifications for each property, a sheet with the required qualifiers for EBU core, and a sheet with all the mappings. So do we have there finally a quick look at that? So this is the document, and there you have their sheets. So there's a Google document, so the front page, and there is a sheet with all the properties. So they are grouped as described there, so administrative and so on. And then we have a qualifier vocabulary. And then we have the recommended mappings. Let's have a quick look at them. So they are shown there. You have the Apple QuickTime, MPEG in alphabetical order, News and LG2, BB Core, and schema.org. So you see there, if you scroll down, we have their standards which have a rich mapping. So BB Core, for instance, you see there almost every video metadata hub property can be mapped to BB Core, schema.org less, and also Apple QuickTime. You see there a lot of free rows. But okay, that's the reality, and I'm happy we also have the mapping in this document. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was a good, brief overview over what is really an impressive body of work that the team has done here over the years. While we get set up for the next group, the video makers, I would kind of explore one further option that has come up in sideline conversations, but that we haven't spoken to, and that is APIs. So, Michael, you mentioned here in the examples the ways to embed the metadata and to write it into a sidecar file. But I know that many of you probably and many out there potential users are also exchanging video and video metadata via APIs. So has the group discussed that in any way? Is the specification just plug and play usable? Can you speak to that?
Well, the IPTC video metadata working group has not closed its work now. This is a first step, and we have on the working agenda of this group also to think about the JSON format for that. But starting a discussion about that, I think it was in the summer, so April, May, we noticed having a JSON format for metadata is not a video metadata issue only. So I think it's very close also to video metadata, photo metadata, and so we said there it would be worth to put this in the second row, as it doesn't make sense to have the quick solution and then in the second round of thinking we come to the conclusion maybe that's not the best way. So I think this needs some considerations, so how wide could be such a solution be, and we are aware this is not an issue for the IPTC only, so we also plan and have ideas to talk to other parties about that, to have an approach to expressing metadata in JSON in a very common way. Some experts will instantly say, well, okay, we have JSON LD. Okay, JSON LD is one of the options, but some the JSON LD is too complex, requires too much of processing power. We want to have also an alternative, simple solution for that. So this is exactly on our agenda.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Another example of actually agile standard development, if you can call it that, focusing on what matters and what works first, and then going out from